The noise starts long before the first pitch. Hours before the gates even open, thousands of fans in blue gather outside Dodger Stadium, wearing the same number, carrying the same hope. Cameras wait at the tunnel entrance. Broadcasters rehearse their introductions. Somewhere in the middle of all that attention, one player quietly walks toward the clubhouse. No celebration, no dramatic entrance. Just another day for the biggest star in baseball. Shohei Ohtani has already done what many players spend an entire career chasing: MVP awards, record-breaking seasons, a World Series championship. He has changed the way people think about baseball, proving that one athlete can dominate as both an elite hitter and a pitcher. Every time he steps onto the field, it feels like history might happen again. But baseball has never cared about yesterday. The game has a short memory. One season, you're standing on top of the world. The next, you're starting all over again. That's exactly where Ohtani finds himself. After helping the Los Angeles Dodgers reach the top of the baseball world in 2025, the expectations didn't get smaller. They became heavier. Every home run would be compared to the last one. Every pitching appearance would be analyzed. Every loss would raise the same question: can the Dodgers really do it again? And more importantly, can Shohei Ohtani lead them there one more time? Winning one championship is difficult. Winning another is where legends are separated from unforgettable stories, because October doesn't reward reputation. It rewards execution. It doesn't matter how many jerseys you sell, how many highlight reels fill social media, or how many records you've already broken. When the postseason begins, every team starts with the same goal and the same pressure. For Ohtani, 2026 isn't just another season. It's another chance to prove that greatness isn't measured by one unfur, by the ability to come back, carry the weight once again, and still find a way to win. So before we answer whether another World Series is within reach, we first have to understand what happened after the celebration ended. The champagne had barely dried. The championship parade was over. The trophies were back inside the clubhouse. The interviews slowed down. One by one, the cameras moved on to the next story. But inside the Dodgers organization, nobody was talking about what they had already accomplished. They were talking about what came next. That's the reality of playing for a franchise like Los Angeles. One championship is celebrated. Two becomes the expectation. And right at the center of those expectations was Shohei Ohtani. His first season with the Dodgers had already justified every headline surrounding his arrival. Even while recovering from elbow surgery and serving only as a hitter, he remained one of baseball's most dangerous offensive players. He delivered elite power, reached base consistently, and changed games with his speed. Every time he stepped into the batter's box, pitchers were forced to rethink their approach because one mistake could disappear into the seats. Then came 2026. For the first time since his recovery, Ohtani wasn't preparing to help the Dodgers with only his bat. He was working toward becoming a two-way player again. That changed everything. Now the conversation wasn't just about home runs or MVP races. It became about balance. How much should he pitch? How often should the Dodgers use him on the mound? Could one player realistically carry the physical demands of doing both across a long major league season? The Dodgers knew the answers wouldn't come overnight. Every inning mattered. Every start was carefully managed. Every swing, every pitch was another step toward October. Because everyone inside that clubhouse understood one thing: if Shohei Ohtani could return to being an elite hitter and a reliable pitcher while staying healthy, the Dodgers wouldn't simply be contenders. They would become one of the most complete and dangerous teams in all of baseball. But championships aren't decided on paper, and history has a way of testing even the strongest teams when the pressure is at its highest. That's where the real challenge begins. Baseball isn't like basketball, where one superstar can dominate every possession. Over a 162-game season and an unforgiving postseason, every weakness eventually gets exposed. For the Dodgers, the biggest question was never whether Shohei Ohtani could perform. He had already answered that. The real question was whether the team around him could hold up when October arrived. Ohtani continued to do what few players in baseball history have ever been capable of doing. At the plate, he remained one of the game's most feared hitters, combining elite power with patience and speed. On the bases, he could turn a rowdy single into a scoring opportunity. And as his return to pitching progressed, every outing became another reminder of why his two-way ability is unlike anything the modern game has seen. But every return to the mound also carried another layer of pressure, not because of expectations, because of durability. The Dodgers had every reason to be careful. After his previous elbow surgery, protecting Ohtani Ohtani's long-term health became just as important as winning the next game. His workload was managed, his pitching schedule was measured, and every decision was made with October in mind. That's what makes championship teams different. They don't chase every victory, they prepare for the victories that matter most. Still, baseball has a way of refusing perfect scripts. One cold stretch at the plate, one injury to the rotation, one bullpen collapse. That's all it takes to change an entire postseason. And that's why another World Series won't depend. It will depend on whether the Dodgers can stay healthy, whether their pitching staff delivers under pressure, and whether the lineup can produce when opposing teams inevitably decide that Shohei Ohtani is the one player they refuse to let beat them. Because once the playoffs begin, every pitch feels heavier, every at-bat feels longer, and every mistake becomes impossible to forget. By the time October arrives, the regular season no longer matters. Nobody remembers who led the league in headlines. Nobody cares how many viral highlights filled social media. The only thing baseball remembers is who survives. And that's what makes this chapter of Shohei Ohtani's career so fascinating. He doesn't have to prove he's one of the greatest players of his generation. He's already done that. He doesn't have to prove he can change the game. He's already changed it forever. Now, the challenge is different. Can he do it again? Year preparing for him? Can the Dodgers stay healthy when the pressure reaches its highest point? Can their stars deliver when one swing, one pitch, or one defensive play can end an entire season? History tells us one thing: back-to-back championships are among the hardest achievements in professional sports. Not because great teams disappear, but because every contender gets stronger. Every weakness is studied. Every mistake is punished. That's the reality waiting for Los Angeles. If Ohtani continues producing at an elite level, if the Dodgers' rotation holds together, if the bullpen protects late leads, and if the lineup delivers in October, another World Series isn't just a dream. It's a realistic possibility. But baseball has always refused to guarantee greatness. It demands that legends earn it, again and again. Maybe that's why millions of fans keep watching, not because they already know the ending, but because they don't. Because somewhere between the roar of the crowd, the silence before the first pitch, and the final out of October, another chapter of baseball history is waiting to be written. Whether that chapter ends with Shohei Ohtani lifting another World Series trophy or watching someone else celebrate is a story that only the season can tell. Until then, every swing matters, every inning matters, every game brings him one step closer to another chance at baseball immortality.